I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone with the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
Sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck's up? Welcome to another Already Dead. It's Jose Galison, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Austin Picard. I say as always, but he wasn't here last week. Honestly, the state I was in last week, I probably shouldn't have as well. Yeah, we're back for another Already Dead, your favorite weekly parapolitical call-in show. I've been pretty bad about keeping up with the call-ins, and I just realized as I was writing this intro that I totally fucked up, and like for the first time in I think ever, I forgot to send out the patron link for my patrons. So it looks like for the call-in portion, the only people getting that perk for the video call-in, I guess, will be Austin's. Although I'm kind of kicking around the idea of throwing out the StreamYard link, to the maybe send it out to put in the replies of the Twitter or something, and that way maybe we can just open it up to everybody type deal, and see, just I don't know, because I fucked up, just kind of as a recompense, and then I won't do it again in the future. That way I kind of make up for it. So yeah, I don't know, just a thought to kick around. You guys let me know in the chat if I drop that on Twitter, would you guys, or wherever, I guess I can probably put it in the Rumble chat as well. If I drop that, would you guys be interested in popping in for the call-in portion? Because I totally forgot to send it out to my patrons. So my bad, guys. Next week, that will be a perk you get for paying, but I can't go back in time, so it is what it is. But what's up, Austin? You feeling better? You seem to be. I've listened to you a couple times on your morning streams, and you just seem better. Like your thoughts are more collected. You seem not that you were in a bad spot before, but just, I don't know, I think a little time off did some good for you.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, honestly, I think maybe it has something to do with getting a little bit more comfortable as well, because I do feel like I'm getting a little more comfortable doing, as far as just doing the live streams in general, have helped with that. Because so often I want to speak in the proper terms, that I'm very specifically like to say things certain ways, and I struggle at times because I'll bog myself down on accidentally. But I appreciate you, brother. Scott is here. But yeah, I had that conversation on Nephilim Death Squad yesterday morning as well. That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed having that conversation. It felt like it was a long time coming in a way. I of course didn't quite focus entirely on Delphi, but it's kind of the nature of the show in a way as well. So I think it was still a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, no, I popped in for that. That was actually a really good stream. I very, very much enjoyed it. We have Liam Matthew R. He just dropped a $2 super chat. That's got to be on Austin's channel. So they're pitching $2 for Austin. Thank you. Yeah, I am not monetized, so that's definitely for Austin. Yeah, it was a good show. It was a great show. You missed a good show last week, although I did say at the beginning I was a little rough, little bit of a rough spot. So I do want to apologize a little bit. I feel like I probably could have done a better show for you guys, but I felt like shit. Yeah, I do see Liam saying a great job on Tinfoil Hat. I'm bringing up your chat.
I kept trying to bring it up too.
I mean,
My bad.
you gave $2 and you didn't leave a chat there a second ago, so I figured, hey, bring it up now. Great job at Tinfoil Hats. Tinfoil guys. I guess it's a good time to remind you we're going back on in a couple weeks, so it's time for me and Austin when you get our noses down the grindstone. I can tell your head's already in the right spot, though. I can tell where you're at. You were like, we're cooking. We're hanging out in that same area of the thesis that we're working on for that episode. So I'm looking forward to that episode. So it's just something we can prepare for a little bit more, to the degree to whatever you can prepare with Sam Tripoli. So
yeah, right.
Yeah,
for sure. I think it'll be awesome though, especially considering the idea of that umbrella gladio scenario. Right. I just think it's so perfect, and we can branch that off into so many different directions that are just still to this very day having a clear and just obviously it's still having an effect, right, and a consequential outcome in many ways with a lot of those different operations that we can point to. But dude, right now I'm finding more evidence once again, right, another thread of evidence pulling me back into this gladio format and this recycled playbook that we witness so very often. And it just is revolving all around Fort Bragg, of course, and these various military bases that
it's a good place for you to center your head at right now for these couple of weeks, because that is a good crux, because you were kind of in that realm. You're also kind of thinking in the North Fox Island area, like that's kind of where we're honing in. I'm about to hone back in on Dutroux. I have you sending over a bunch of stuff over here, a bunch of material over for me to look over. It's all your notes and stuff, because I'm getting ready to go cook on that soon.
For sure, but I'll send it to you by tomorrow. But
you're good. No rush. Good.
There's a direct fucking connection to the Dutroux network, right? which I was intending on covering at a certain point in the future. I'll definitely have to do the North Fox Island episode, but I had no real clue that there is a direct connection in with North Fox Island and Belgian Gladio and Mark Dutroux's network. So you have this Michigan-based child pornography ring uncovered in the mid-'70s with its base of operations on that private island belonging to the old money scion Francis Sheldon, and he's suspected of financing these snuff films, right? But the investigation.
Quick to back up. Sorry, I don't mean to just talk over you, but if I recall correctly, I know a lot of this is kind of the thesis of Eye of the Chicken Hawk, and I believe if I recall correctly, that book kind of starts and ends with, I want to say, Sheldon, and because they essentially follow along all these different pedophile child network. A lot of times have like murder elements as well, with things like Gacy and the like, and it kind of follows these threads from one thing to the other, snuff films. And then I forget where, I don't know if he starts at North Fox and ends at somewhere else, but essentially he kind of comes back full circle, and it's kind of like, look at this Sheldon guy, and kind of like, he's not like in everything, but the idea is that like there's a full loop there, and the idea that this guy also, he seems super duper protected to a weird level, to like it looks like this guy was some sort of possible operative or something, asset, whatever you want to call it. Which, I mean, there probably are a ton of people in these things that are clicked up with intelligence. So it's wild. It's I don't know. It's a fucked up thing to wrap your head around. Really,
it is. But I think it's at the very least to attempt to construct some sort of conceptual format and outline for yourself, so you can kind of understand how these networks function and operate underneath this clandestine, clearly the smoke and mirrors that are provided to the public. Which, man, if you did you hear that part that this morning? I know I went long again, but did you catch the part that I talked about Detective Rothstein, right?
Which,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick, I've heard you
Mhm.
talk about Rothstein multiple times, and he seems like
Yeah.
one of those characters in the parapolitical world you kind of just need to know.
Mhm.
I frankly is not someone I know a ton about, and he seems like he's supposedly typically on more comments. I'm going to need you to, because I know you, I've heard you reference him multiple times, but I don't really
Right.
know. It's one of those ones you just kind of hear and you go, okay, and then now I'm asking you, okay, back up, who the fuck is this guy? Because it
Right.
is you hear him a lot, but I've never really ever see him. I mean, really, I think it's only really you I've heard talk about him. Is this someone we should trust? Is this another character that's in one of those Gunderson type
I
roles where you're
honestly,
like take some stuff, because he
yeah.
is what, like a cop or something, or was he, or
Well,
was he
he's a
more of
mayor in
like
Michigan.
he's a mayor of Michigan?
Yeah, well, he's a mayor in like St. Thomas, Minnesota. That's where it was, I think. In Minnesota, that's where it was. I think that's exactly. Hold on, I'll
Okay,
pull it
so
up
he's a
right now.
mayor.
Yeah, he is now. He's of course a retired, um, he's a retired NYPD detective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually directly involved in the New York State Select Committee on Crime in 1982. And he was
Okay.
heavily involved in all the exposure and showing as far as just all of these various sidelines that were being conducted. And then that was when he was tracing what had initially happened is he was sucked into because he's NYPD and he's effectively on a task force. Right. So they had kind of this freedom that was unprecedented and never seen before or after, honestly, in many ways. And it was essentially kind of shut down by this New York State Select Committee on Crime and the aftermath and consequences of it, and many different, I believe, to be um, police and even federal investigators with true integrity. And honestly, we're attempting to approach these investigations with the utmost as far as just respect and ultimately attempting to achieve justice in the most honest way possible. We're attempting to pursue transparency in more ways than one, and they suffered due to that fact. And they personally had their careers entirely derailed. More than very many of them were forced into retirement or demoted. Were forced to take a demotion and become some sort of street cop, right? And essentially, and be entirely transferred, right? And things of that nature. But he himself kind of made his bone. First of all, it is strange, but he's been so, transparent about his own history and background. I have no reason to doubt him, and I've not come across anyone who's actually questioned his credibility, to be honest, other than the direct authorities who were sort of targeting him. But as he says himself, they kind of are just trying to keep him at bay and allow him to live in as much silence and as possible till the day he dies, basically, because I think he does pose a threat to them, but he's not like on the ground pursuing any sort of investigation at this very moment. He's moved on with his life. He's a retired detective who just has these conversations if any journalist is willing to reach out to him, basically, because he still does believe in some sort of like justice being had for many
How
of
the hell
these
we get hold of this guy?
Yeah, I think that we honestly should, and I've actually even mentioned who's the other one? Who's the former Scotland Yard detective? Who I've had people actually. I had one person, John Wedger, and they got upset with me for mentioning him as a potential guest because they were questioning his credibility due to what I believe to have been an attempt to entirely discredit his character, and I think he was targeted because due to his he was entirely willing to put his really his life on the line in exposing these pedophile networks in the UK and how they were legitimately tying into these networks with Savile and Ted Heath and these prime ministers and all of these elite oligarchs who and political class who very much have deep ties in with Belgian Gladio and the pink ballets that were happening in the castles, right? And all the man. It is uncanny when you start to kind of trace these threads, right? And they overlap to such an extraordinary degree.
Mhm.
And so this guy, Detective Jim Rothstein, he does have a background in military intelligence. All right. He was on the vessel that was sent to, I forgot, the name escapes me right now. I could pull it up here in a moment, but it was in my Watergate notes because basically he was on the boat with Frank Sturgis. Well, he was not on the boat, but he knew because Jim Rothstein was on the boat. Frank Sturgis was within the black operation in Cuba that was being conducted at the time. And so effectively, Jim Rothstein was on this a military intelligence clandestine vessel that was, they were told, even the crew themselves were not aware of the destination whenever they left port, which is very strange, but this tends to happen. So you don't really ask questions. And so, effectively this intelligence vessel was sent off the coast of Cuba in order to run these black operations during the Bay of Pigs operation, right? I don't know why that escaped me for a moment, but it is. So he was on this. Let me actually pull it up because the name is important. It's really important. So
if you want a minute to look up something, we could. Someone's asking about the weekly dump, anyways. So that might be a good time to recollect our thoughts. If you want to dial that up, Jules, get that going for us. We do also have Doctor says, how old do you think the pedo cults are? I mean, ancient Greece is known for it. Does it basically go all the way back? Yes, that's my opinion. So let's go ahead and watch this. It's about a few minutes long, and this is kind of a recap of all the things of this week. So here is your weekly dump. Let's go ahead and press play. We'll see how this goes in the future. Here is Dave again saying, was it the report? He shared a thing as a report. I told you it was sick. Jared Kushner behind Trump's plan to take over Gaza. But here we go. Here's David Hogg, and it's just a tweet saying he's been elected as the vice chair of the DNC. So now we have, now it's getting a little bit more clear, sort of, the vague idea being put out here. Remind you guys to not run with everything immediately, because you look retarded sometimes when you do that.
You like it?
All right, cool. I'm probably going to get struck for targeted harassment on this one. Those were sales, not... Oh, were they, though? Okay. So Dr. is saying they were sales, not spending. No, I hear that, though. Okay, I'd have to look into the specifics on that, because I am curious with sales, because I hear all the time where they go, oh, sales, but then it's a loan, and then it has no fucking... and then it also has, like, no time limit, and then it has, like, no interest on it. And so, essentially, it's de facto, you're giving them money.
Used to trade on cabinets a lot. Yeah. Oh shit.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I looked into it, you would probably see that's not really a sale. State Department has formally notified Congress of plans for a massive arms sale to Israel worth over $7 billion. So sale, okay. It's USAID stuff, and it's like, oh, is the left just really just a big giant kleptocracy? And you're like, you're making this a left-right thing? Like,
The head of your precious queen, Furiosa!
Claims between, I guess, Netanyahu and I think even us, some like the Trump people were kind of implying the Saudis might take some of these Palestinians, and they resoundingly said no. Israeli war chief confirms issuing Hannibal directive to kill own civilians, soldiers on 7 October. So this is a higher up. Apparently, it has already been confirmed multiple times before.
Say that Israel is on track for a strategic victory in Gaza.
You want me to go first?
What's up, guys? I spent like all the money for the commercial.
That was too fucking funny.
On these new teeth. So once again, I had to shoot it on the iPhone.
The only shirt he has on there has a swastika on it.
Yeah.
Activation word. Ronald McDonald.
All right, yeah, that's all. We recapped the last week, so there you go. That's a week in review. I figured that might be a good spot to kind of jump our memory. It is a wild shit. I mean, fucking Hog. Which, by the way, if anyone has any Hog fucking threads, send them my way. I do want to cover that sometime. I know there's a lot of weirdness with him. But yeah, Hog VC. We got all the Israel stuff going on. We got more that are going. We probably should touch on that at some point today. But man, we once again, me and you picked a good time to start doing a daily show. We're at the point now where we have to like then come back together a week out and kind of then do a recap. That way we can just like rehash all the things because so much fucking shit's happening. We're in a wild time. But yeah, crazy week. It's fun. I do find it funny. The only one you got in for there though was a Yay clip, which that is great. It
killed me, man.
Yeah, it's probably one of the greatest things ever. I think didn't he get his Twitter account taken down? I mean, not that I really care too much about.
It was a choice, man. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'm almost positive that he basically had one final tweet and then he just scrubbed his Twitter until next time, essentially. That's what it seems like.
Wasn't it? I think it might have been the article you read, or I heard something where I thought I heard someone saying something about not like it got removed or whatever. But either way, I mean, I was kind of hoping. I mean, I guess I don't know if that's a fact yet. I feel like that would be more over Twitter if that was the case, because I was really hoping they wouldn't. Because I kind of ranted a little bit on one of the morning dumps. Like there's like two. I guess it's almost like there's two sides of my brains, and like the last time Ye went through some shit, like both like my like comedy brain and my like conspiracy brain were both like, boom. Like whereas this time like my comedy brain was like, this is awesome. My like is this substantive conspiracy whatever, like that part of me just didn't give a fuck. Like the part of me that looks for substantive, interesting things to be derived out of something.
Yeah.
No fucks given about this time. The last time around, yes. But
best
fun,
I could do.
But just haha, that's all it was to me.
Right, dude, exactly. That's why the best I could do this time was just pull up a fucking article about how Shopify was entirely unprepared to have Yeezy linked to Yeezy.com or Yay linked to Yeezy.com, and then within 20 minutes of the ad running during the Super Bowl, fucking scrub the entire Yeezy.com and leave one available item for purchase, which is a t-shirt with a black swastika on it for $20 a pop.
Yeah, which is objectively hilarious.
It is so fucking funny.
You can not like Hitler and think the Nazis are the worst and killing people is not cool and still be like, hilarious.
Especially because of the ad as well, which was just, it was perfect. I mean, it couldn't have been better, honestly.
Yeah.
But
did you find what you're looking for?
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we'll use that. We're trying to figure out where to fit that into the format. We'll use that for like when we gotta look for notes, or we gotta do this, or we gotta do that. All right, let's play the video real quick. All right, there we go. But yeah, did you found what you're looking for?
Yeah, so basically I had forgotten that it was the fact that he was involved with military intelligence during the Operation 40 connection, right, to Cuba. And so you have Detective Rothstein expanding on his connections with Frank Sturgis because he went all the way back to Operation 40 in his time on the Essex, which is what it was called, the Essex. And it was in early March of '61, so at least
there is like a slight reason to be concerned of, I guess, some sort of disinfo agent.
Possible,
but it doesn't sound. It sounds to me what you're describing is not that strong.
Yeah, because he's been threatened, and I believe that they attempted to recruit him, and he rejected it. And due to that fact, when he rejected it in court, I think his life or career were on the line, and he chose his life. And basically left his career in the past. And I think that happens more often than people are aware, because I think they actually respected James Rothstein. I think Frank Sturgis himself respected Jim Rothstein, which was interesting, especially since he was the one who effectively got him to talk, because he exposed the fact that he was involved on the Essex and was at its home port in Rhode Island whenever the strange things started to happen, and sailors were dispatched for rifle squad practice with Marine leading the team, and then all of these different various factors that were playing into the covert operation that was being conducted as far as Operation 40 in general. And so when he kind of like gained his trust because he was involved in the Bay of Pigs and how they were attempting to actually, there was such just overwhelming casualties due to the lack of air support, that people don't realize how upset you had many members of military intelligence, and not only military intelligence, that were directly affected by that,
It's kind of a big fucking deal to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's natural for that to occur, especially considering the fact that all of these clandestine operations and covert ops are so compartmentalized, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that you have this factor involved of this, genuine authenticity when it comes down to their belief in their job itself and the tasks they've been sort of assigned to perform, and I think that alone is at least worth acknowledging, because you have this visceral, natural, consequential reaction to that policy position that JFK decided to kind of stand his ground and not have his hand forced in as far as Dulles was concerned. And I forget the other guy's name. I used to remember. Drives me insane. But anyway, he was
I think it was
trying to force his
primarily
hand
just
as well.
Dulles that I can think of.
Yeah, it was him and Bissell. That was the
Yeah.
one, maybe.
I
think.
was just thinking about it today. I was actually listening to my audiobook on the whole Dulles thing, and there's
Mhm.
something to I was just thinking about the concept of the lasting effect that happened from JFK essentially not providing the air support for the Bay of Pigs. The kind of, as we just referenced, how upset they got. And it's like, obviously you got to keep in mind these are intel agencies, and you just brought up how segmented this shit is. I feel like it's probably within those circles, probably always been framed as we were supposed to, or framed in such a way to, or even just a knee jerk somewhat for some of these guys to go, oh, this guy just didn't have the balls to do what needed to be done or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
although I feel like that likely there were insurances given to multiple people or framed in such a way that, like, oh, if it comes to it, we got you type deal.
Yeah.
So the point being is that then later
Dulles
it becomes a
himself
he said,
believed.
she said, and then you
Yeah.
get to go, oh, it gets to fall on his back. So even
Yep.
once you kind of have these multiple positions you can back away from. So you can start from, well, he said he was going to, and then once that kind of slowly gets exposed as that's not the case, you're like, well, he's kind of a pussy for not doing shit when things got rough, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it slowly, you can kind of pick your spot along the narrative where you want, and you still get to form yourself. You get to still put yourself in opposition against
Yeah,
their
it
enemy, essentially.
it was so interesting the way that played out, because JFK was entirely surprised. This came out of left field. He had no understanding that, that he was actually being backed into a corner by Dulles and Bissell, and I believe it was Richard Bissell. If I'm correct, I believe that was his name. And they were essentially the architects of Operation 40 in the Bay of Pigs, and basically they honestly believed that giving him this essentially this offer he could not refuse in the moment, he would not be able to back down as far as providing air support, due to the public impact of his weakness in regard to the Soviet threat, right? And so that alone was very much a part of the the framework, of really the seductive framework, and it was very much uh, just it was an attempt to, again, kind of catch him by surprise, but force him into a corner where he had no choice, right, other than to provide the support. And when he did not do that, obviously the casualties began to clearly we had so many consequential casualties, and as a result of the Bay of Pigs operation. So you had people who never forgave Kennedy for that. And when Rothstein interviewed Frank Sturgis, when he caught him attempting to assassinate Marita Lorenz, right? Really, I believe she had a bastard child with Fidel Castro and essentially woke up without a baby anymore. And it was very interesting how that played out. And then she was brought back to the U.S. and kind of really just kind of like pushed around through these various safe houses, CIA safe houses and black sites that she was kind of frequenting. And she actually she claimed to have been at one of the CIA black sites. I can't recall the exact location, but She claimed to have been there when Howard Hunt and Frank Sturgis and all the operators involved with the JFK assassination were planning what they were going to do that day in Dallas, and also that she was with them when they transported weapons across state lines at the time as well, and kind of took these various tools to Dallas beforehand, leading up to the assassination, which of course, if you are deeply involved in the details with the JFK assassination, you know they had hit squads stationed all throughout Dallas. Even at the airport, there was a hit squad stationed. He was not leaving Dallas alive that day. That was going, they were going to achieve their goal.
Well, in Chicago, 20 days earlier, there was Cuba people that were caught up in that too, right? Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So it's
That's
like,
one of the craziest stories of all
they're
time.
just staging all over the place, dude. Like,
in Miami
whatever.
too. In Miami too. And so
Yeah.
you have in Chicago and Miami, they had 100% staged. He was going to die within that time frame. And so
who was the general they tried killing or tried killing around that time too, right? Wasn't there some general of some sort that was
Yeah.
like they tie Oswald into it somehow? I didn't know if that jogged a bell because I heard
Ooh.
something about General LeMay, and maybe it was on one of your things today, and I'm like, that wasn't the same guy, right? Or is LeMay the one that was at the autopsy that was being kind
Yeah,
of imposing?
absolutely. He was
Okay,
the
there we
Dr.
go.
Strangelove character who was
Yeah.
like hiding all the war plans on the board, during Dr. Strangelove from the Russian that comes into the war room. And it's one of the funniest scenes of all time. But
So
yeah,
he was the one that was like borderline kind of directing the autopsy.
dude,
is
he
the way
lit up
it's
a
framed.
cigar during the autopsy.
Yeah.
The doctors are like, "Will you please put
And just
that
kinda
out?"
like,
And
"You
it's
should do
back
this.
in-
You
He's
should bring
a
that over here." Yeah.
celebratory cigar, dude. And right, like that's what it was. And I forget exactly what he said, but he had a quote in the autopsy room that's like one of those unforgettable quotes that, of course, is escaping me at this very moment. But it's
General Walker. General Walker. That's what it was.
okay. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that
big
was
one.
that was the one that they
He was
claimed
like
Oswald
running for
attempted
president
to
or something, right?
assassinate.
I
Right? Isn't
forget.
that who?
Yeah,
They
that's the
said
one
he
they
took a shot at him.
Yeah, that's the rumor. Is he supposedly took a shot at him? I mean,
Mm,
obviously you can get
yeah.
the weeds of whether he did or not. I
Well,
don't know,
you know
but
that
yeah.
there were multiple Oswalds running around at the
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is so crazy. But that's why he was spotted at the the embassy down in Mexico
Yeah.
when he was allegedly in Dallas. So
There's multiple McVeighs too. There's always like multiple everythings,
exactly.
dude.
Hey,
I mean,
man.
to be fair, the multiple McVeighs I think can be probably a little bit more ascribed to like just a misidentification, and the fact that I believe it was a crew of people, and I think some of them may have looked somewhat similar to him, and then I also think, if you read about the ARA, who I think were the people who helped them. They did, have a MO of doing things like disguises and the like. So it's not that crazy. Somebody would like put their hair like him, or wear a hat so you couldn't really tell the difference, or whatever, or that they might dress like each other or somebody else. Like they would have drop cars, and there was all sorts of stuff that corresponds to things that happened in the bombing. But if you get in the weeds of like identifying people, there's a lot of times you're like, I don't think that's McVeigh in both of these times. Like, there's no way. Or there are times where he's spotted and where it's like there's no way he was here and here. So and a lot of that I think can be chalked up to misidentification of people who did look similar or whatever. Whereas with the Oswald one, it's much more like, what the fuck is going on here?
Dude,
like,
honestly, it really
is there
is.
literally a second Oswald? Are you fucking growing him in a lab? What is going on? It's
Man,
bizarre. Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's I believe it was the the episode I did on Oswald specifically, where I covered his lookalike, which I believe to have been someone who was stationed with him at the air base in Japan. I think that's what it was. It might have been the Language Institute in Monterey, California. It was one of the two, and I need to pull up that JFK assassination or the Oswald episode, because I remember I kind of did the JFK assassination in two episodes, right? And I remember it being, essentially he was the individual who'd written that fictional account of that really mirrored Oswald's life in general, right? Which was very interesting. But I was right, by the way. It was Alan Dulles and Richard Bissell who had initially briefed the president-elect on November 18th, 1960, on the outlined plans for the invasion for the Bay of Pigs. But this is when they had implemented a very similar plan in the CIA covert operation, codenamed PBS Success, that resulted in a CIA-backed coup d'etat in 1954, overthrowing the Guatemalan president Arbenz. And so that's, of course, why you have all those Op 40 guys, Frank Sturgis, Howard Hunt, right, who were all involved in all of those coup d'etats back at the time. And then, of course, remember you had Caddy, right, who was who was working for Mullen and Company at the time, right? Who gets a call from Edward Mullen, and he's down there and staging a coup d'etat at the time, and he just like gives him a call, and it's like, yeah, we're overthrowing the dictator in this area, and he's like, do you want to actually come down here and run a hotel that is essentially procuring sexual blackmail from right from all of these prominent political assets in Cuba and all these different areas. So it was clearly just another perfect example of what Op 40 was involved in at the time. And Eisenhower even provided this, of course, all the support
what it all
necessary.
comes back to. This is kind of the thesis that we're running with. And honestly, as we the one person that said, like, oh, has this been going on forever? Like, it's sort of in a weird, vague way what our thesis are coming in. I mean, now we're essentially kind of describing what Gladio is when you use it in a modern sense, but then kind of a larger, like, what it really is and how it ties into everything. But if you really think about it, like what people talk about when they talk about Gladio in a modern context, they're kind of talking about like this whole evil apparatus that is involved in doing these awful activities across the world, particularly destabilizing governments, false flag attacks, all of the murdering dissidents, whatever, all, and then once you look into the financial aspect of it, it's like, oh, this is all tied up into drugs, into murder, into prostitution, into pedophilia, into snuff, into even to Satanism. Like you can even take angles where like this even gets tied into disclosure shit. Like it goes deep, and it's like it's one of those ones that you just keep digging into, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, how deep does this go? What are these sick fucks doing? I mean, kind of the crux of, I think, what we're really trying to nab at is kind of this power structure. And I think Gladio kind of really starts to identify it. And it really is kind of these people that are doing these ungodly, awful fucking things, whether they are in an individual like level when it comes to defiling children and also while engaging in like satanic acts of some sort, or if it's just as simple as, oh, we're going to, blockade off this area and we're going to starve, 100,000 people. I mean, they're both evil, and they both stem from the same, seems like the same core people that tend to be the ones that literally are doing both of those things I just described. Yeah, these are sick fucks. That's kind of my point, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's kind of about as bad as you imagine, really. So. And he says, "What's up, y'all? Love you, boys. Looking forward to all the new stuff." All right, we got really off tangent on. Hey, what about this Rothstein fella? What do you think?
Yeah.
But I did want to, before we get into the call-in portion, unless there's something you really want to get into, I wanted to get into the ceasefire.
Son of Sam, by the way. He was also directly involved in investigating the Son of Sam, tying in the Process Church, following them through the Interstate 9094 killings, tying it into the Smiley Face Killers, all of that stuff. So Rothstein himself has done so much valuable work over his career, and is someone who should be, I believe, admired at this point. Of course, always remain skeptical, question the credibility of everyone. But I've come away from his, personal career path and the evidence that he's exposed to the public. I've come away from that thinking that he is someone worthy of admiration and acknowledgement, and kind of to appreciate for all the different disclosure, the honest disclosure and transparency that he's attempted to pursue in the name of justice and helping out these poor victims who have entirely been just, clearly sadistically abused. So that's that on Rothstein. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out this is kind of the latest. This dropped from Caitlin Johnson. I want to say like 20 minutes before we went live, somewhere in that realm. I found this particularly enlightening to kind of how this works. For those who've been following along, this is where something like our morning dump show really comes in clutch. Like keeping track of all these things. Like if you're a normal person, especially if you're somebody who's not even really doesn't take a strong interest into like geopolitics, but even if you're somebody just casually interested, you miss all the fine little details of all the things that happen between these two groups. For example, we're talking about the ceasefire here with Israel and Hamas. If you had been paying attention to the little minutia of here and there, you'd probably know that basically borderline from day one, Israel's been violating the ceasefire. Hamas has been pretty much sticking with it. It's Israel that has been kind of shitty throughout. They're doing the same thing over in Lebanon. But I just recently, I forget, Israel's made some sort of claims that they weren't following their ceasefire. Also, then Trump made some sort of statements about the fact that they need to have they should have all the hostages back by like this weekend or some shit, which is like retarded because it's like there's already an agreement in place, and it's like this would be fuck your agreement is basically what that means. We're going back to war. So it's kind of like a weird, changing of the terms last minute, like really quick. But anyways, point being is that there's a lot of details. They've killed Israel's like just recently killed like I believe I think it was in the West Bank. They killed a mother and a father, and one of them, the mother was pregnant. But there also has been deaths. I believe they shot like a kid in the head.
Shields
Article.
Holy
I did, yeah.
shit,
And then there was
dude.
I believe they shot a kid in the head, and like I believe that one was in
he's
Gaza.
the kid who was just reaching down because he was messing.
Oh no, that was
with
West
the ground.
Bank then. No, I swear there was a girl who got dome shot recently. I want to say that was.
Oh yeah, no,
Gaza,
she was sitting at the dinner table inside her house right, and she was shot in the head. Yeah, that definitely happened.
But either way, apparently there's been stories too coming out of Israel, the reports that Netanyahu was going to sabotage it. He kind of already, we'd already seen these beginnings of this. He was supposed to have already been negotiated terms along, more, there's supposed to have been more negotiations that should have happened by now. He delayed them for his appearance, for his recent meeting with Trump. He literally told his people to basically like not go for negotiations or I forget, maybe I think he told them not to go. And essentially was holding off till he talked with Trump. Now it looks like he's sabotaging by sending them. I think the latest I heard before this article came out, I believe the latest I heard is that there were reports that he was going to send them over there without any sort of ability to do anything. So that way you have this like perception of we sent negotiators, but it's like, yeah, we didn't empower them to do literally anything. So it's just for show to say that you sent someone. Yeah, but it looks like
it's a show. Haaretz said, right?
Yes.
Netanyahu was signaling quite clearly that he doesn't want to move to the next phase. He's sending a team without a mandate and without the ability to do anything. Yeah.
Yep. So and then now we're at, I guess now these negotiators are admitting this. We can kind of scroll through this. You could see. Let me see, I found it earlier. Basically, the crux of this is that the negotiators have admitted themselves. I believe they said it anonymously. They didn't have the guts to do it themselves. But they essentially said, so here we go. The current standoff stems in part from Hamas's accusation that Israel has not upheld its promises for the first phase of ceasefire. Israel was required to send hundreds of thousands of tents into Gaza, a promise that Hamas says Israel has not kept. Speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter, 3 Israeli officials and 2 mediators said that Hamas's claims were accurate. So now we're just talking about the specifics of the tent, but I'm surprised that this is actually where they're staking at, or where they are admitting, or even like the crux of the issue is here. Because they've been literally killing people in Gaza. So even when they're not supposed to be killing people, but obviously there's going to be. I don't think they've hit triple digits, but I believe they're in the dozens. I know that for sure. I think they're getting close to almost 100 since the ceasefire, where you're not supposed to be killing anybody. But I'm sure, obviously, if anyone confronted them on it, they would say, "Oh, this one attacked me." We still have a right to self-defense. That's going to be the way it's framed. So it's going to be like, and now you have to then litigate each individual time. But it's like, let's be real, we're not retarded. When you're looking at almost like triple digits, it's like I don't think all these people just decide to suicide by IDF. It just seems a little bizarre to me.
Hey, keep riffing on this for a moment. I gotta go piss real quick, but I have a couple of things that I definitely want to talk about as far as in regard to this specifically. But I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there you go. Israeli officials, Hamas's claims about Israel's ceasefire violations are accurate. Gaza's health ministry said that Israel forces have killed 92 Palestinians since the ceasefire went into effect by David's camp. I mean, I didn't read the whole article for you guys here. I recommend you guys go check it out yourselves. But it sounds like what they're where they have admitted, wrongdoing is specifically on the matter of the tents. But that is the least of their. Maybe that's just where they're willing to admit any sort of wrongdoing. That's the only. But either way, I find this to be kind of interesting that they're even willing to admit wrongdoing, although they're doing it under the condition of anonymity. So I know we're at a very rocky time right now in the realm of what the fuck is going on over there. I'm not super confident about this. Let's roll through the chat a little bit real quick. Am I familiar with the letter Albert Pike wrote detailing the objective of 3 world wars? The third would be to set the Jays versus Muslims, let them wipe each other. I've heard that before. I don't know how much I put into it, but it's interesting.
Bill Cooper said that too, man.
Yeah, checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. Honestly, I actually heard him. He kind of put forward. Oh, dude. Did you see that fucking AI generated video of all the that included Woody Allen and all this bullshit? Yeah. It's just funny to me, man. It's at least worth mentioning because of how ridiculous it is. But as far as what you were speaking about, violating the ceasefire, Hamas themselves, claimed that clearly the ceasefire was violated, so they weren't going to, basically. What they had said was, hostage releases were delayed due to Israeli ceasefire violations in response, is what the Hamas leadership was allegedly saying. And so the Israeli defense minister, that's when he placed Israeli military on high alert to expect absolutely anything to occur, is basically what he said. But considering that, with Netanyahu officially terminating the agreement with Hamas and changing the demands today, coming off the heels of what occurred with the talks with Trump. I mean,
did he change demands? Because I haven't heard any.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. I haven't heard any change of demands from anyone there. I heard Trump say something about the specifics of
now he's parroting
the weekend
Trump.
thing. Okay, so he's just repeating Trump. Okay.
So check this out. Let me show it. It's very short. It's worth actually watching, but. You'll see Netanyahu himself, right? Who's actually making the statement. But it's only 59 seconds.
I've concluded a deep discussion. Real quick, you want to turn that down the volume and I'll read it?
Yeah. Here, I'll just mute it.
Okay, well, scroll
I'll
back.
rewind it. I can say it if you want, but you can.
I have concluded a deep discussion of 4 hours in the Security Cabinet. We all express outrage at the shocking situation of our 3 hostages who were released last Shabbat, Saturday. We have all advocated President Trump's demand for our hostages to be released until next Shabbat, Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So, effectively.
We have all advocated the President's revolutionary vision for the future of Gaza. In light of Hamas's announcement, its decision to violate the agreement and not release our hostages, I have ordered the IDF to gather forces within and around Gaza Strip.
Right.
And this action has been carried out in these hours and will be completed in the nearest future.
Yeah.
Decision I passed unanimously in the cabinet is this. If Hamas does not return our hostages by Shabbat noon,
boom,
the ceasefire will end.
Exactly.
And the IDF will return to intense fighting until Hamas is finally defeated.
There you go.
Man, I'm going to be honest. I kind of hope they do. I don't think they're going to, but that would be, because that's kind of the point here, is the idea of this is one of those, unrealistic asks. And for one, it's a crazy quick ask too, because it's like they were completely on a different path entirely, and then now they just threw a curveball. To be fair, I think Hamas did signal they weren't going to do the next one. I'm not sure if that was before or after some of this, but they've been kind of, Netanyahu, Trump, really the whole shebang's kind of been signaling not goodwill in a lot of ways, even just outright advocation of, essentially ethnic cleansing. So it's like they've kind of already seen the writing on the wall. There also is, the actual violations. So I'm not sure who did what specifically, but there definitely is, a back and forth going on. You can't just say, oh, Hamas. If anything, if you're looking at the two parties, it really looks like Hamas is honestly the player here that really seems to really want to come to the table more than Israel does. It couldn't be any clearer. I really don't.
Yeah. I just feel like the leadership of Hamas, as well as just as the leadership for the Palestinian Authority, has always been compromised. I don't believe they have any real spokespeople that are at least truly effectively given a platform on the world stage. I don't believe that for a second. I believe Hamas was created by the IDF in order to stage a pretext to tear up the Abraham Accords and to go forward with this ethnic cleansing and complete and total genocide. And that's more obvious than ever before. And especially considering how I had mentioned, Netanyahu's vision for Gaza 2035. That's a real thing. And especially considering what Gavin Newsom just said about Los Angeles, which parrots the vision of Klaus Schwab for LA 2028. This is the fucking plan. And I have no fucking idea how anyone on earth cannot spot this for what it is. That is so insanely difficult for me to grasp and contend with conceptually for my own personal well-being. It drives me absolutely insane. I understand being optimistic, but you have to see what is playing out in front of your eyes and stop, yes, remain skeptical at all times. That's what has led me to this conceptual outcome, unfortunately, and how I'm kind of interpreting really the cycle of what we're witnessing, right? And these, I had mentioned this to a buddy, but at this point, man, I'm honestly... I have this policy now where I'm just remaining entirely permanently skeptical and anticipating the next move, right? And I had mentioned this morning that I'm anticipating the next move toward what I've mentioned so often before, which is this gradual tiptoe toward the totalitarian technocratic state, using these executive orders and these interesting, what really amount to what it creates this illusion of change, right, in the public perception, while never addressing any real root cause, yet generating this public support necessary for both sides, right? Of the political divide to pull off the ultimate bait and switch. This is kind of the theory that I've been working with, because of course it's replacing this current system with the ideal social credit model tied in with the World Economic Forum's 15-minute smart city biometric AI public health system infrastructure, complete with minority report dystopian style pre-crime laws. And it's like, how can we not kind of come away with the notion that is potentially playing out, especially when you have even the Jerusalem Post, from crisis to prosperity, Netanyahu's vision for Gaza 2035 revealed online. Gaza 2035, Netanyahu's plan to build 15-minute smart city over blood-soaked Palestine. And then you pull up what Project 2035 is and all of these various redevelopment proposals, and it becomes undeniable. And once again, you're staring down the barrel of the fucking Great Reset and Operation Lockstep. And we have no other choice but to embrace the dystopian future. Fuck that, man. It's like it's getting very frustrating as far as how can you not identify your enemy at this point? I know smoke and mirrors, dealing in deception, that is the clandestine nature of these spooks. I understand that. But this is why you're running a risk of being vulnerable to this deception if you do not, pin down these avenues of benchmarks and goal sets that are clearly and utterly in place in public at this point. They say it out loud, and we all just willingly put the noose around our own neck and fall off the pedestal. Fuck that, man. It's like at this, I'm struggling to, anyway, I don't mean to speak in those terms, but it's just like, how do you not, at this point?
All right, real quick, Austin, we're going to transition over to the call-in portion. I do want to let you guys know, I don't think I'm going to open the phone lines per se, but I will say, sorry, Austin. I mean, I guess this is a little bit cutting in on our deal, but I fucked up. I said at the beginning. So I figured we'd be a little magnanimous today. I dropped in on my Twitter where I'm on X where I dropped where it put out the broadcast. I put it in the replies there, the StreamYard link. I also put it in the Rumble. I didn't put it in the YouTube because I'm almost certain it'll shadow ban it, but because they usually take out links in YouTube. But between Rumble and Twitter, the places this is being broadcast in the replies is a StreamYard link. So if you guys want to hop on the show and with me and Austin, and you have a question or whatever, or statement, or just want to say, hey, whatever thing, you can pop in. We're going to be around here for probably another 45 minutes or so, and then we're going to bounce out. So that's your opportunity. This is our way of saying oopsies. Sorry, I fucked up. But next week, this is not going to be a thing. Next week, it will go back to only being for the patrons. So. But yeah, so feel free to use that. But while we in the meantime, I do want to remind you guys today's episode is brought to you by Nadeau Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn, irritation, ingrown hairs caused by those deep penetrating multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You can go back to traditional shave. You can shave just like your grandpa used to. Whether you're shaving your whole face or just edging up your beard, the single blades give you a barber grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor, as pictured here, in a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. $75 to shave for a whole year is the estimate there. Let's be real, it's going to last you a lot longer unless you're shaving on the reg. If you're shaving on the reg, like daily or almost daily, you're going to want to look at the Quarter Shave Club. That puts you at about 25 cents per replacement blade. This also, Nadeau also has shave lathers, 3-in-1 body hair and face soaps as well. Stuff feels great, smells great. It's a COVID mandate refusing company, so this is a cheaper product, a better product from a company that doesn't hate you. And on top of all of it, use Jose for 10% off your entire order at checkout. Get you a little bit extra savings. But with that, guys, some of you guys need to hop in the fucking show, guys. We'll shoot the shit with you guys. But yeah, everyone, I see everyone in the chat saying JC should hop in. You guys don't have to dox your faces too. You guys can hop into a StreamYard and just put it on audio. So as long as you have some sort of, as long as you have a relatively decent internet connection and some sort of form way to give us audio, we're good. We're cooking. But yeah, let's.
I gotta show you something so funny that is very short. But did you see this from earlier? The Representative Maxine Dexter from Oregon, the Democrat, who dude, this is so fucking funny. Let's just watch it real quick so you can. I want your reaction here because it must have been a slip of the tongue, but but it's one of the funniest fucking videos out there right now. So listen to this bitch.
I've been told I have 30 seconds. So I am going to tell you that we do have to, I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
Hell yeah.
Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
I had to fucking show because it had to have been a slip of the tongue, right? You would imagine.
Yeah. But unless there's some sort of like greater point she's getting at, like, oh, to curry favor, we should fuck. Like, I mean, unless the point is to suck up to him or something. I don't know. I feel like there's context we're missing there. That or it was just a big old fuck up. So.
I'm telling you, it seems like it was a slip of the tongue, but USAID, they clearly need to send this bitch some condoms because she's ready to go. It's just the funniest. Like, did you see how USAID sent like $50 million worth of condoms to like Gaza? And there was one other place that they had sent it to, and then Elon was like having to respond to that. But yeah, it must be because she doesn't cuss, so she clearly has no real, Freudian slip. That's so fucking.
Yeah. Are you want to let's watch this real quick. We have this drop just recently. I mean, it was like earlier this afternoon, but I guess we're getting some sort of. Go ahead.
Are they going to address the Israeli connection to these
right
flag manufactured crises, or is this Zionist
to like almost every single one of these? You mean?
Exactly.
Like I guess MLK, you could probably say maybe there isn't. RFK is debatable. JFK, it's like, I mean, okay, so you could say maybe they're not involved, but let's be real, they probably are. But yeah, no, they're all pretty Jewed up. Let's go ahead and play this real quick.
With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship.
I was muted. My bad. Austin, well, it's still on my mind. You always hear people bring up the Epstein list, or that's not really a thing, right? I mean, I've never heard.
No.
That's a thing I know. What's his face brings up frequently.
Brian
He goes,
Dawson.
well, Brian Dawson, and I think what's his face, the Black Book guy. We've had him on. Nick Bryan. How could I don't know how I couldn't think of his name, but that's a frequent point because he's the guy who published Black Book. There's no client list. Like, it's not like he neatly put together a list of like, here's all my people that I sling kid pussy to.
Right.
Like,
and what there is in the Black Book, and it's been public. Right.
Exactly.
And
it's so this is, to me, like, anytime I hear someone say this, it's almost like it either is a disclaimer, you don't know what you're telling me, or you don't know what you're saying, or you're trying to like pull some wool over my head. Like, ooh, you're going to get some crazy juicy shit. And you're like, no, I'm not. That's not a thing. Because there was a Black Book. Like we're pretty much, unless there's some file out there we don't know of, but everyone that I know of that's like, really, embroiled themselves in this seems to have this common take. Anytime you hear someone say, "Oh, the files," or like the client list, it's like there's no client list. There's basically a Rolodex that you then need to use I don't know, your like logical deduction to figure out, what role each person had, and it could be some of these people that are in this Rolodex or whatever. I'm not even saying it's literally a Rolodex, but you know what I mean, like his contact book essentially. I mean, those could be just those could be just some dude, and then also those, some of those are people that are like, okay, they're probably slinging kid pussy to them. So,
right. and the Black Book itself, that was Ghislaine's book. Like, that's what people are under the false impression as well, that was Epstein's contact book. It wasn't. It was Ghislaine's, clearly her network that she was dealing in, as far as she was the handler of Epstein. Epstein was just middle management, of course, and kind of providing the cutout that was necessary for the blackmail operation. But in reality, he was a creative personality. And when he was overexposed, he was left hanging out to dry, just as they do, the vast majority of these intelligence assets in the private sector. So not at all surprised. I mean, he was groomed by Maxwell himself, Robert Maxwell, who brought him in and introduced him to Ghislaine. And I mean, they were untouchable. Robert Maxwell was untouchable until he started threatening to blackmail, Mossad, and then he ended up dead off the floating off the Lady Ghislaine, right? But so that's just how they operate. I think it's kind of just natural within the context of the network, but it's definitely Ghislaine's Black Book, which is never really spoken on.
All right, let's finish this video. I don't know if there's much more to glean from it, but I have some more thoughts, but I figured maybe listen and see if there's anything worthwhile in here too.
On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be... I
guess I'm like resisting, and I kind of want to play, but it's just this idea like, oh, we're gonna be a really responsive, but it's like the fact you even exist is kind of a fucking problem. Like, because okay, cool, I guess they've made it more juicy. Because it's like, oh, we have all these things thrown together. But like, let's be real. This is an outgrowth of, what was it? I don't know. Was it like a couple weeks ago when Trump came in and he goes, hey, you have 15 days to drop X, Y, and Z, essentially. Because I don't remember the specifics, but it's like 15 days to do whatever. Whether it means come back with this thing or, with some sort of fucking oversight task force, whatever the fuck, or if that means actually just drop the files. They had 15 days. I remember that was the thing. And they wanted like JFK files dropped, RFK, some other stuff. And so all we fucking need is a document drop. That's literally all we need. We don't need fucking anything else. We don't need these people, these fucking, big dogs to fucking go through it and tell us, about some process along the way. All we need is the documents. Maybe you can make some sort of, argument that I don't necessarily I probably wouldn't agree with, but whatever. I would be totally cool with giving allowance to letting a couple fucking glowies run through the fucking documents and go, oh, so-and-so's still an operative in, fucking Zimbabwe. We can't have him. Oh, put a black line. Okay, whatever. Maybe some redactions here and there, but like, the idea that we need some task force, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know why I need a bunch of people that that are essentially clucking about how their self-importance. Why do I need them to show me these documents? We don't. Like the existence of this is a fucking
man.
It's a counter indicator to her point about how this is no longer a fucking where we just ask questions and nothing ever. You existing is a dragging of the feet. That's what this is. This is we were told 15 days we're getting all this information and it was like more concise and pointed. Now it's this amorphous blob of all the fucking things you want to know about the government. We're creating a super task force for it, and somehow all the things you want to know about the government, we're the guys that are all this information is gonna come through. Like this totally checks out. I did one last thing, and then I guess we'll watch the last 30 seconds. I did find it particularly kind of funny if you read all these. It also then adds UFOs. And then like Jeffrey Epstein, so like it is kind of like an everything, but then it also has UFOs, so it almost feels like the implication here is like their blue beam didn't really take off, so they're like, well, don't fucking let it go to waste, wrap it into this other shit. You know what I mean? Like maybe we can gin up interest later, just don't let it die. You know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like here. Like we're wrapping this all up into each other, like so they can still kind of, I don't know, get that shit out there. You know what I mean? Like it feels like a like that, like I don't know, the UFOs just seem so. Yeah,
it's a conspiracy bingo in a way, but at the same time, they're really just presenting false transparency, right? And that's very much what it seems to be. So it's just another level of where you're confirming your bias, no matter where you stand on the political aisle, on the political spectrum, the two-party delusion, right? Whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it does definitely kind of rings hollow for me.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was messing with the tab in the background. Yeah, let's finish this last 30 seconds.
Be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American
This is literally bureaucracy, but go on.
people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments.
Trust through transparency. So that's why we're creating this task force through which we will muddy the view of the end product that you will get even further.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we just give you the documents. There's literally this is fraud, waste, and abuse. This is literally a council of people coming together to do what at maybe most should be one or two fucking glowies. And that's about it. They go, oh, we got to take Bob off. We got to redact Bob's name. He's still doing stuff. Like this. That's all you need to do. There really should be no need for anything else. This is fucking retarded. But
From the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens.
All right, real quick, one last thing on my end on this, and then I'll pass it off to you if you have any other final thoughts, Austin. Really, it's actually just a question to the chat, if you guys recall, because you weren't here yet last week, Austin. Anna Paulina Luna, this broad, I think I want to say this is the same. This is a chick. William was talking about last week that I believe he was saying her dad is like a super clicked up Knights of Malta guy. So I
wow.
don't know, let me know in the chat if that's true because I vaguely recall William mentioning some woman that's like kind of a big because I forget what role this chick has in the cabinet. I think she has some sort of cabinet role or something, or is just some sort of close advisor of Trump's. I'm not sure. But I want to say it was her that he pointed to. So let me know in the chat, guys. You guys might recall from last week if that was correct or not. Because if so, I just find that interesting because it's like here she is. If that's the case, I mean, I'm not nothing specifically to say about that, but yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's not at all surprising to me. I would love to know if that's legitimately who he was referencing. I'll have to, like I said, I'll listen to that episode this week. That way, I kind of catch up on what the hell you guys were talking about as well. But yeah, I think that once you realize the direct connections to these fraternal organizations of powerful influence we talk about so often, including the Pilgrim Society, the Knights of Malta, the Circle, how many different, they're essentially just offshoots of the Rosicrucian Order and the Knights Templar Renaissance that occurred at the time, right? And really kind of that's where you can see this network of strange Templar, Neo-Templar organizations that form, including the Order of the Solar Temple, which is one of them as well. But once you realize that not only Henry Kissinger, top advisors, key advisors for each presidential administration, no matter where they are on the political spectrum, you witness these recycled advisors that are worshipped in the halls of power, and they all tend to have these direct ties with these fraternal organizations that have really kind of, I believe, have set the structure in place for generations at this point. And that's why you have all of these accounts of Confessions of an Economic Hitman and all these various accounts of the playbook itself and how they kind of how it reveals itself on the world stage. And you begin to realize that this is a clandestine infrastructure that's been set into place that in a very well-established manner that is impossible to not recognize and acknowledge once you begin to understand how power brokers function and how the structure of power itself seems to be, really, it's very much, this foundational playbook that once you become aware of it, you can no longer kind of like the veil is removed, right? So you're no longer kind of in that mode of naivete that you once were, and you can kind of view reality for what it is. And in that moment, it's terrifying, and you have to decide whether you kind of, step back into the ignorance is bliss concept, or you pursue the truth further, and you realize the consequential nature of that pursuit. And yeah, it becomes a very extraordinarily terrifying thing that you have to contend with if you want to be honest with yourself, let alone the people you love and care about and want to help protect and defend. And again, you better know what you need to defend them against before you kind of settle down into that mode of not posing a threat whatsoever to the current establishment, because I think that's a mistake, right? And you'll only be caught by surprise in a negative way in the future. And I hope that isn't the case for everyone here, because my God, man, what else are we fucking doing, right? I mean, we need to hold power accountable. Right. And how do you do that? You remain permanently skeptical. That has to be your approach. You can take the victory lap. We need it. I'm desperate for it at all times. I mean, that's why we have to do it. Or you're just going to just spin off the planet like Gary Busey, man. You're going to lose your fucking mind. So Anyway,
All right, let's bring Jules on here. There was something he dropped earlier that I wanted to get his take on. Also, he I guess found something he was telling us about some sort of hate club thing. Me and you, I don't think had heard about it. Real quick, you also did say an egg UFO was found in Russia. When was
bro?
When
There's
did that
a
happen?
Here, let's bring this up real fast. Let's bring the egg UFO up.
Yeah, let's look at the egg. Oh, wait.
There's a bunch of egg symbolism.
Is that?
Absolutely.
We have a guest.
Bobo.
Hey Bobo, if you're all set up, you can hop into the talk. What's up, dude?
Nothing much, man. Just out walking my dog. How y'all doing?
Doing all right. Glad to have you here. What's up, man? How you doing?
No one else called in. I said, "Fuck it, I'll join."
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's do it. Fuck yeah.
I said you have up to 10 people. Come on, don't y'all be pussies. Hop in.
Hey, we got hundreds of y'all fucking watching. I'm looking at the metrics right now, and for some reason, I don't know. Getting people to come on. It's fucking sometimes it's hard. It's weird. But this is here, guys. Hop in, hang out with us Tuesdays at 9:30. Be prepared. You can even do as Bobo's doing. You don't have to show your face. You can just do yeah. So any questions or anything you want to add real quick, Bobo? Or you just want to hang out while we talk about whatever we're talking about?
Well, you were talking about Blue Beam and it jogged my memory. I can't remember if I came up with this idea or I heard it from somewhere else. Maybe y'all, I can't remember. But you ever heard of The Watchmen, right? Or the movie or the comic?
Yeah, one of my favorite comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, graphic novel.
I know, right? Have you ever thought that maybe they're doing Blue Beam to go ahead and cause what happened at the end where they killed all those people to, quote, bring world peace?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking that for a long time. I mean, honestly, I've been thinking,
my friend.
But I think the point that I try to drive home is obviously you have in the Watchmen you have like obviously you have the bomb or whatever in the comics it's a big alien, but I think the point I try to drive at is that there's something to that, like the Blue Beam angle there, but I don't think we're going to see a corresponding actual real world mass death thing. I really think it's going to be a wool pulled over your eyes. Maybe there will be quote unquote deaths or something, but I just really think it makes sense just from a kind of, I came to this from just looking at it, thinking about it from like a practical, pragmatic, and just kind of looking at the things on the ground and kind of like from studying the Oklahoma City bombing and kind of having an understanding of what these people can get away with. I think the government's in a position where it's way harder for them to get away with actual like kinetic events where like, you know, they have to pull some sort of subterfuge and kill a bunch of people of some sort. I think they really are, because we're just at a point where we have such a great, what they call it, civilian journalist or whatever the fuck population that it's hard for them to get away with that sort of shit. But now something like there's lights in the sky, and now we're gonna like make you guys, come to all sorts of weird conclusions from that. They can go fucking nuts with that. Like, I mean, there's so much of just trust me, bro. I'm the government. I control the airspace. So like, you kind of got to take my word for it. That goes along with that, you know.
Oh, yeah. Like, we are the FCC. We control everything. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, like, who are you to say that, like, no, you're lying? Like, it's only them that, like, if they just like, oh, I see this blip at this time, at this thing, it's like, who are you to say otherwise? So that they control all the data there, essentially. So it's very much a trust me, bro.
I got my, exactly. I got the radar license, bro. Trust me. No, I know how that is.
Yeah.
Well, in the context of Blue Beam as well, like you have to consider the factor involved with what Serge Monast kind of presented to the public, which was the use of even telepathic hypnosis, right, as holding great potential in regard to not only what was referred to as the great, it was essentially referred to as the big space show in the sky, right? Which was this gigantic space show with three-dimensional optical holograms and sounds, laser projection of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world. And beyond that, at the very end of the Project Blue Beam and Serge Monast's kind of theory here, he explains how there's universal supernatural manifestations via electronics. So considering like a Starlink implant, a Neuralink implant, or any sort of microchip technology that has existed for far too long, generations at this point, which people are unaware of that fact, let alone the programming of subliminal messaging through EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, which is very much a capability of even local police departments at this point, been proven, been public. It's something that the vast majority are uninformed of. And then he ends his essay. He's explaining that there's this phasing out of cash into a digital monetary system, which is absolutely essential in order to force the people to inevitably accept a new version of communism. And his final statement read, "The new technology is designed and built to track down and control people everywhere. This technology is being manufactured for a specific purpose, and to refuse to see and recognize that purpose, which is to enslave the entire populations of the world, is to deny the emergence of the Antichrist and the establishment of the New World Order, religion, and government. If you cannot see, if you cannot learn, if you cannot understand, then you and your family and friends will succumb to the fires of the crematoria that have been built in every state and every major city on earth, built to deal with you. No one is safe in a totalitarian police state." That's what the fuck Serge Monaz says, brother. So who knows?
That's scary shit, man.
Yeah, fucking A, man. Especially considering Larry Fink's vision for the future and using potentially tokenized incorporated, basically is what it's called, BlackRock's plan to own the fractionalized world. And in the aftermath of course recent Bitcoin ETF approvals, BlackRock's Larry Fink revealed that soon everything will be ETF'd and tokenized, threatening to fractionalize not just existing assets and commodities, but the natural
Like they're
world.
going to put your house on there. Yeah, I heard about that. They're going to put your house on the blockchain, and you
It's
can.
the future,
like,
my brother.
Oh man, it's scary shit, bro. Like it goes back to there's no meat space anymore. They want everything digital.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, the house on the blockchain, at least so far as like NFTs and stuff, is not the worst. That was actually one of the greatest. Like NFTs became this like stupid like quick like little art things, but really that what they're great for was like showing ownership. So like there's a lot of real use for in the future ways to be able to do things like proving someone owns something without needing a third party like a government or something to get involved. So this is kind of a like it's a ANCAP
you count up
stuff.
You take out the county clerk and all those assholes.
Yeah.
Well, Brenda like taking forever to go ahead and stamp the paperwork.
Well, Bubba, I don't know if you have anything else. I mean, otherwise you can still hang out. I mean, we'll kick you out if someone else shows up. But otherwise, I know Jules wanted to tell us about this. I don't know if it's a cult or what it is, or a murder group, or what's going on.
Murder group.
No, I can hop off if y'all want me to. I'm probably cursing too much.
Oh, you're fine. You can hang out. I just
want enough, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
oh shit! My phone might die on me, although if I mysteriously hop off, the CIA didn't get me. My phone's at 9%.
Oh, you're good. I mean, you can hop off whatever if you want. I mean, just letting Jules again kind of go into the what do you say they're called, Jules? The
Club
fucking hate club.
Well, I was going to bring up the egg UFO first.
Oh yeah, let's do the egg UFO. Let's look at this bitch.
Yeah. So this was found in Russia.
The thing just move, or no, they change angle on the camera.
Какой-то баллон газовый. Ходишь по лесу, ни живой души, и встречаешь вот такую штуку круглую. И непонятно, что это, гриб или НЛО, или что это вообще.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an egg.
Well, there's this other video that's floating around of this fucking I think it's a Black Hawk helicopter carrying this craft, and it looks kind of like this, but it's in in night vision. So
are you talking about the disclosure one they showed a while ago? That was like the shitty one that looked like almost looked like a stick and a string and like an egg or something, you know?
Even if that's not real, or it was some kind of craft that was back engineered by our government, it still represents an egg. And then you have the Super Bowl with the football, the superb owl
Yeah, that lay eggs.
Egg. Yeah, dude.
Coincidence? I think not.
There's a lot going on with the eggs, man.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. There definitely is. Aleister Crowley was all about eggs. There's
yeah.
So I mean, their egg represents the divine feminine life, fertility. Like there's all sorts of
yeah.
Fertility ritual. Don't start, brother.
Yeah, creation of life.
You know the firstborn. You know the firstborn
like
child
Easter.
is like the firstborn child seems to be targeted by these occult organizations as well, which apparently they can harness more power from the blood ritual. This is like a belief system involved with even the Processed Church members, right? Which kind of blew me away. But yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Well, they got seventh son of seventh son shit. Isn't that what Aquino was supposedly seventh son of a seventh son?
Yes.
Dude, yes. And Jimmy fucking Savile too, buried like a vampire at like a 90-degree angle or some bullshit.
Yeah.
And yeah, completely insane when you realize that he was basically fucking his dead mother as well. So he was a necrophiliac and had like
He was a necromancer, probably.
Dude, he believed he was a wizard.
You say he was a necromancer?
What?
No, he believed he was a wizard, dude. And this motherfucker, I swear he
I know
did.
Jules is saying he doesn't believe he was a wizard.
But he was a fucking. Hey man, look at the motherfucker. I mean, come on, right? Like he definitely believed he was a wizard.
Ooh, we have 333 people watching right now. On that note.
On that note,
not a confirm.
Those numbers up
with the egg bullshit going around. All right, this was something I intended to bring to the show before I left on vacation. But yeah, this was the 4chan whistleblower who apparently a new alleged 4chan whistleblower surfaced with claims of participating in the recovery of an egg-shaped UAP and a 700-year-old humanoid being in stasis, both discovered in a cave within the Queen Elizabeth mountain range in Antarctica. So talk about symbology, the symbolic nature of these occult rituals, man. And the history of it as well, because according to the whistleblower, when the team awakened the being, it shared revelations about humanity's true origins and this is fucking Nephilim shit and the real nature of extraterrestrial activity on Earth. I know it's ridiculous, but it's hilarious. Then the entity reportedly explained that as far as just the 4chan whistleblower,
and we just get these shitty videos. Scroll down.
They're
so we can
always
see
fucking shitty, man.
Like, look how this is 21 seconds of like what looks like a lamp swinging from being viewed from the downward. I don't even know what the fuck this is even.
It looks like the bottom of a tree looking up, and they have something attached to it almost. I don't know what the fuck it looks like.
Like it looks like, you know, like in what Latin Mass where they do that like little shaking bag. That's all it looks like. Someone just shaking some sort of lantern and looking at it as if you're laying on the floor looking up at it. Like that's all that it looks like. Like what am I witnessing here? A breeze in the jungle? Like what am I seeing?
Exactly. It looks like a lamp or something. I'm not sure what
retarded.
The fuck it is.
This is so fucking.
Hey man, Jose, the entity reportedly explained that humans were engineered
just don't
by an
say anything at this point.
beings.
This doesn't contribute. There's nothing. Like at least like if there was a better video or something, you'd be like, okay, I get
an ancient being just coming to us in an egg and talking about certain kind of creation myths.
This is all one big giant. Trust me, bro. So this is on 4chan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, fuck you, Bobo. What the hell? No, I'm just kidding.
Operating for how fucking long either, because they've turned to like 8chan and 8kun and like it's not even. I don't think 4chan is really like. Yeah, kun is like more relevant than Chan now for some reason. Not entirely sure why, but
saw on a local news channel on international child essay network that's busted associated with a church called the 2x2s. I remember something about the 2x2s. Didn't Shane do some work on that or somebody? I remember the 2x2s. It was this weird little group, this like religious group, or it's almost like I don't know. I swear I saw something about this. I saw it and I brought it up. I think that sounds right, and I don't think we've covered on this show though. So that's something we should probably cover at some point. But yeah, that's weird. Yeah, but anyways, this weird group. Tell us about this group.
Hate Club, dude. You want to see this video?
Hate Club. It's a cool name. They got a good name. So let's see what they did with it. Like that's solid branding. Like how to fucking you know. Okay. Oh my God.
In all of our cities and in all of our towns, I make this.
Man, I know how to produce, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, this kind of fucks. I don't even agree with the message.
God bless you and good night. I love you.
I love you.
The black sun.
Dude, the Fed's got some good video promotional shit now, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
There's probably Sean Ryan in
Cincinnati, nigger. We're here, boy. We are fucking here, niggers.
Man, I want to work for the Feds, dude.
Oh shit!
We're just gonna like have fun with the boys and say the N-word.
Damn, nigger.
What the fuck?
Bro,
oh my God, dude, just boys having a good old time. That's all this is.
Well, I want to do fucking reaction that thing did.
I'm sure.
Okay, so this is just a fucking. You know, the Fed.
It's the Proud Boys 2.0, dog. That's what it is.
Man, that's a long ass video.
It's pretty long here.
All right, that's enough. Let's end it there. Let's talk about it now.
There we go. Here.
What the fuck?
All right, let's pause it. That's enough.
And some of them had swastikas.
There's all the
as well as
black.
carrying rifles on them. Now,
Oh, okay.
It showed up.
I love they put the black
droves
over and over.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is just clearly just strikes me as Fed shit. This seems like Patriot Front finally fucking like anteed up and was like, all right, we're gonna hire Laney. It's a video editor, and we're gonna really make this shit just fucking go. We're gonna make this shit pop this year. And everyone's been making fun of us coming up in our khakis and like, and then we have this like weird metrosexual faggot looking dude that we like we have go and say, oh no, they're totally not Feds. They're totally and you're like, oh, dude, you're dressed like a homo. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not taking this whole like right wing like thing. Like, I don't know. Okay, you guys look a little sus. I mean, there's been documents that have come out that pretty much confirmed you guys have had informants in your midst. Like, come on, like, let's be real. And any entity of the size gets infiltrated. Let's be real. And then, I mean, be upset about it all you want, but this is what they do.
All the bomb-making documents, they come organically. It's not provided by a federal asset or a federal operative that directly to the group, right? Which is 100% how they operate. But it's just hilarious to actually view this and then go back to what was the name of that dude who was like out there grifting for Ukraine in the proxy war that had all the tats on his face. You remember?
The one who was like tatted, the bone guy. I know what you're talking about. That's the one that Loomer ran with some crazy story about him being like, apparently from my recollection, because I'm pretty sure I might even have had Ken on to talk about that when it came out. I know what you're talking about. He was like a Patriot Front guy. He was like Boneface or something.
Boneface.
Apparently, a lot of the how do I put this? A lot of the claims there were dubious. Insofar, because they're essentially in that he was some sort of glowy of some sort. I forget the specifics. It was so long ago, but that one is one you gotta be a little careful on. He was just I forget the specifics. It was so long ago.
Well, he had good intentions. This Boneface.
Not that he had good intentions. That he wasn't this glow up that people were trying to make him out to be that he was. I mean, I'm sure there's probably glowiness to him, but there was dubious claims to be made that I'm pretty sure was a Loomer, and that's honestly, Loomer is pretty bad when it comes to that sort of shit. Like if you see, really, she's probably one. I've seen so many times she's dropped info, then people have to go and fix later. Yeah. So she does this thing where she will confirm everyone's what they want to believe, and then then people who actually care about the truth look into it later, and you're like, yeah, that was off. Right. Yeah. At least that's my but whatever. Yeah, he was Azov. I wish I could remember. I might be wrong. Maybe it was. Maybe he was.
I'm pretty sure that dude glue like the sun.
I forget what it was about him. There were claims that were being made that didn't hold up to scrutiny. I swear there was Ken. I mean, obviously this guy did it. I want to say maybe he was in Ukraine and some stuff, but there were some aspects of it people jumped to with like some unreliable information. I mean, don't get me wrong. He could be a Fed. Who fucking knows? But
Well, all the blacks that live over there are now patrolling the streets with fucking long with long rifles, with no optics on them or anything, and they're holding them all wrong, and it's just it's fucking.
That's so funny.
Something.
Yeah.
They're the crisis actors recruited by the most recent crop recruited by the feds to come out here and act like a white supremacist militia. Yeah, that makes sense to me. But that's just how they,
yeah.
It's just so very often that seems to be the recycled playbook, right? So I just tend to kind of fall within that framework as far as my confirmation bias is concerned. But I'm sorry, when you look like Boneface did, like how the fuck do you not, remain skeptical of that dude as far as his connections? Because he clearly is like, he's either, the perfect representation of what you would imagine in your subconscious mind for what
I really
what
wish
that
I could
dude
remember
would
about that, because it's like I hate being that guy that's like, guys, that's not a Fed, because it's like I hate being the guy who's like a downer, because it's like
No,
we're all
I
having fun, we're all like, haha, Feds, and I'm like,
I
no, and then I
You
look
gotta
like the
remain-
Fed being like, hey, you're trying to like, divert attention from your Fed buddies. You're like, no, come on, like, I know I have
No, I
to.
get it.
I swear,
You
I'll have
gotta
to
be
ask Ken later. There was something about that story that it got ran with.
Careful. He's very careful with his
Yes.
credibility, and
So
he
I can't
deserves
remember,
to
yeah.
be. He's such a great freaking journalist, man. Like, I love Ken, so I'm not talking shit at all.
No.
I do think that he's very careful with his credibility. So I get why he would try and, just present the, sort of just attempt to try and correct the record when it comes to what we do know and what we don't know, and making these allegations out of whole cloth is definitely something you should remain a little bit more just like clearly you should be a little more careful when it comes to your approach. But
all right, buddy. But are you ready to get out of here? I think we're at it.
We have so much to talk about that we didn't get to.
What else is new?
Wow, what the
Hey,
fuck,
we
dude?
run through topics. You got to get in where you can. You can tell us about Pizzagate next week, I guess, with William Ramsey. We'll have William Ramsey joining us next weekend,
Actually,
or next Tuesday. I mean,
that might work well anyway. But
Yeah.
really, it's like I wanted to make a few different connections with William as far as in consideration to the connections there with the Knights of Malta and mainly I thought it was very interesting because he had mentioned so very many Trump connections with the Knights of Malta organization.
Dude, there's more
yeah.
it seems than with the Jews almost. Like it's
Hey,
fucking
man.
crazy.
well,
dude.
that's kind of the
why
point.
I
That's kind of the
fucking
crux of it.
DM'd
It's
him,
like
too.
this is the Catholic. This is the Catholic component. And
Right,
This is a
right,
different. This is the competing like fraternal organizations. Essentially, this is what this
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah,
So
man.
there's like there's a lot of make sure you guys leave a like, motherfuckers. But yeah, this is this like overlapping people with some that have similar incentives, some that are slightly different. So it's kind of interpreting what does it mean that seems like we're having a different contingent that seems to be taking power. But with that, guys, let's get out of here. Austin, we're gonna actually Jules, let people know where they can find you at, since we got you in here. So go ahead.
Guys, I'm on X at Graypilled Pod. Also on Instagram. I don't post on there much, but sometimes. Graypilled_podcast. Find me on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and go to Patreon. Patreon.com/Graypilled Podcast. Got some good stuff on there. Got a lot of good shit coming. Dropping a few episodes this week on my audio podcast.
Hell yeah.
Platform.
Austin,
Yeah.
where are you joining me tomorrow for morning dump, or am I handling that
I
one?
might join, actually. As
Okay.
long as you're gonna be there for real, I'll be there, brother.
I should be there. I mean, sometimes every once in a while I end up coming a little bit late, be like 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, should be 10. Worst case scenario, I'll send you a text, maybe like 15, 30 minutes. Like, hey, I'm running late. You want to set it up, or you even get started without me, or whatever. But yeah, me and you, we'll do one tomorrow. So it'll be on all the platforms tomorrow, because it's still fucking annoying when it comes to Rumble. But one of these days they'll fix it. But yeah, it looks like me and you pop back in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Either me or Austin or both of us should be there for the morning dump. It seems you guys have been showing out for those. You guys seem to really dig those. So we're gonna keep on doing them. But yeah, I also have a. Oh yeah, actually, I cut off your plugs. Go ahead, Austin. I think you didn't drop them all. Yeah,
No,
I know. Then I just went right into a flow state in my plugs. My bad. Go ahead.
You're good, brother. Yeah, guys, man. You know, just follow me at the Underclass Podcast. Follow the Twitter. At Underclass Pod or at Theater Thug AWP. Yeah, we can all poop together tomorrow. Hell yeah, Elliot James.
Yeah.
But yeah. Beyond that, I'm migrating from Buzzsprout to Spreaker. By the first of the month, it should be official. So I'm going to get out an email to the patrons on Buzzsprout specifically to let you guys know and provide you a link as well to really probably just the Patreon, and I will also link to the Spreaker if you would prefer to support me there. But I honestly I'm attempting to get everyone streamlined into the Patreon. It'll be a little easier for me to manage, and beyond that, you know, hopefully I'm not debanked or anything, which I don't think is anywhere in the near future.
We've been getting away with a lot lately.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, hey, brother, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm very grateful. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I mean, worst case scenario, we get demonetized or we get a strike. I mean, I guess it's actually worst case scenario we lose our channel. But I mean, thanks to you guys over at Rumble. So make sure you guys follow us at Rumble. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I more and more don't give a fuck about that. But sorry, go ahead, Austin, because get to the point where like half the chats are damn near Rumble usually. So.
Yeah. I've been trying to kind of steer people in that direction, but I'm very lucky and very grateful for my YouTube doing well at this moment, and I hope it continues on that way. And I'm not, kind of siloed into the alternative media entirely as far as when it comes to the platforms. But it's bound to happen. It just seems inevitable in the landscape that we reside in. So, of course, I'm going to remain hopeful and optimistic that isn't the case, but it very much seems like it's something I have to prepare for. So, just in the future, guys, Patreon for sure. I've attempted to make at least 5 tiers, so hopefully everyone can kind of choose whichever tier is financially, at the very least something you could legitimately, at the very least support me, whatever tier it is. But still, I'm trying to provide some sort of like options. But beyond that, yeah, you guys, I appreciate you all. I love you all. I love you, Jules. It's good to fucking see you, brother. I feel like it's been fucking 2 years.
I know.
Dude.
It's only been 2 weeks, but I feel like it's been too long.
I know. But fucking Jose.
What's up?
I love you, Jose. You
I
need
love
to
you too, brother.
tell me you love me, bro. Tell me you love me.
Yeah.
I love you too, brother.
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. But I'll see you in the morning. And everybody, nothing but love. Honestly, I have nothing but love for you guys. These are my people, man. This was my goal, right? To just surround myself with people that were like-minded individuals pursuing the truth. And I got nothing but love for that, man. I think it's a beautiful thing. So I love you all. Later on, I'm out.
Real quick, someone asked if we do Odyssey. I don't. I used to, but they stopped mirroring, and I'm not gonna go manually upload to Odyssey because Odyssey honestly is basically dead in like every video. It could have been my Palestinian. It could have been my Palestine. Dave Smith, Austin Pearson episode that did like in the realm of like over 20K, and it's still like I would go over to Odyssey and it'd be like 4 views. So it's just kind of a waste of my fucking time. It seems no one uses it. It's dead. It was a nice idea. I have buddies who worked there, and it went completely downhill. So yeah, I think the Odyssey is DOA, or dead in the water type thing. So whatever. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think it's good to live stream on.
Is it
supposedly?
Okay.
Yeah. They don't take as much money.
Yeah. Well, okay, cool. Yeah, but then you get like 2 views. So all right. Or 1, maybe, really. Let's be real. But with that, guys, if you want to support what I'm doing, you're going to go over to patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That gives you early access to my usually the weekly episodes I do. They're more like topic driven. For example, I just on Sunday recorded with Biggest Shitter the second part of our Vegas series. which has been pretty good. We went to the timeline, leading up to the shooting. So we're going slow. This is going to be a long series. So we're covering the basics. So this is a very factual episode. The first one was very basics, characters, stuff like that. Second one's timeline. So we're kind of building up from there. It's going to be I think it'll be a good resource for people to kind of dig into it. So check that out. But also you can get the early access to, or I already said that, you can be a talking head on Already Dead. That's I'll promise I'll do that next week. I won't fuck up that up again. Also, you can go to the ad-free RSS feed. There's a link that you can use to get that there, so you don't have to hear ads when you listen to our show. But yeah, the highest levels of my sponsors, I read them off every episode. And my co-host on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad, also have at Abrick at ZOVRICK at _Infinite Zeal. Tim Tuttle, you can follow him at Jolly Island Klebold. Then Will Bell, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Then big fan of the show, Torrin May. And then at INWARD Lover. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. No, for real, if you are watching this, you go down there and you look down and you click that like button. It helps out a lot. If you are listening to this, go find it. Go find where you can leave a 5-star review and go leave it. It helps out big time, like big time. And almost no one does it if you look at the stats. So really goes a long way. Please hook a brother up. We're trying to build shit this year. So help me and Austin like all our shit. With that, we're out of here. Deuces. Bye-bye.